Welcome to the channel, guys. My name is Jess. So 2 days ago, the crypto market saw an absolutely insane liquidation event. Over $1.5 billion in longs were wrecked over a 24-hour period. In today's video, we're going to dive into the charts to talk about the recent price action and the crucial levels of support retested by both Bitcoin and Total 3, and the possibility here for a strong bounce. As always though, before we get into all that, make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to get regular Bitcoin analysis every Wednesday and Saturday. If you're after even more analysis, be sure to check out my free Telegram channel, and if you're interested in my VIP channel, you can get more details over here. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setups with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. Alrighty guys, so diving into the charts here, let's really quickly do a quick recap on the recent price action before we dive into the analysis. So the last week of price action for Bitcoin has been insane. It's been really choppy, really hard to predict, and really hard to trade. Starting off 5 days ago on Friday, we had a massive liquidation event and a really insane day for Bitcoin here. We dropped from $104,000 to 91K, this latter end happening in 60 seconds, but that was a Bitcoin only drop, right? So after we saw that rapid recovery there, things were kind of looking all right. We've reestablished support at 99.6, but more recently we've had another rejection, or I guess breakdown, from this level of horizontal support after failing to break above our structural downtrend here on the short time frame, and Bitcoin crashed all the way down to 95K to retest the closest available level of horizontal support here, just above the 4-hour volume gap. This drop was not a Bitcoin only drop. The entire market went down with it. If we take a look at Total 3, as Bitcoin dropped, Total 3 had just retested the all-time high level of resistance at 1.13 trillion. And so Total 3's rejection was huge. Altcoins dropped anywhere from, I would say, 15 to 30%. Total 3 itself dropped about 17%. And liquidations were through the roof. We saw $1.5 billion in long liquidations in that single 24-hour period alone, and they've remained quite high for the last couple of days. $500 million in long liquidations just yesterday, slowing down a little bit today at $15 million. So let's dive into the charts today. We're going to talk about, the new sort of structural developments that we've had here on our shorter time frames. We can see we've got this new uptrend in comparison to my last video. We've got a monthly uptrend here, and then also the high time frame charts, the key levels of support that we have here that signal the potential for a bounce here for Bitcoin, and exactly what's going to confirm that on the short time frame, as well as what is going to invalidate that. What is the sign that we are seeing a potentially much larger correction here from Bitcoin, and these two recent crashes are providing some sort of warning sign. Then we'll move into Total 3, talk about this drop, potential for a bounce here, what to look out for, and potential levels we might retrace to if we see another drop from Bitcoin. Before we get into the rest of the video, guys, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor, BTC. We can get 15% off all of your trading fees and up to $5,500 in sign-up rewards when you create your free account using the link down in my description box. BTC is an emerging cryptocurrency exchange committed to providing you with a secure, convenient, and highly functional trading and investment platform. Available across all countries as a non-KYC exchange, get global access to over 150 trading pairs with minimal fees on both spot and futures contracts. Join today to get $5,500 in sign-up rewards and get 15% off all of your trading fees by signing up using the link in my bio or by using the code 1GG3 when you create your account. So starting off our analysis on these shorter time frame charts here, all we really need to understand here on the 4-hour time frame is that despite the recent volatility that Bitcoin has experienced from these two most recent liquidation events, despite all of that and these wicks to the low side, we continue to print overall higher lows on the charts, right? We are still in a vague uptrending trajectory. So the uptrend is a little bit, I would say, evasive right now, and that's one of the reasons why the price action has been so difficult to chart and to understand. Recently, we lost this uptrend that I was using to map out the trajectory of Bitcoin over here, right? The one that started all the way from the range low at 85K. That's been lost, but then after invalidating that trend line, we didn't go down, right? So something was up there, invalidated that, new structure. We had this uptrend over here, right, where the candle did end up closing above the trend line, so that could definitely still be a valid trend line if that's the one you're looking at. But for right now, the one that I've got my eye on is this most recently developed uptrend over here. We've got 3 points of confluence now, with the most recent low here created this morning at 94.1 thousand. So it kind of perfectly sort of maps out the higher lows created by those low side grabs. So looking at this uptrend on the 4-hour time frame, essentially what we can understand now with other levels of confluence, which I'll talk about in a moment, is that while we remain above the trend line and those other levels of support, Bitcoin has a high probability of seeing a bounce and continuing to travel in that general upwards trajectory, as opposed to seeing a drop. If we were to see Bitcoin lose this uptrend, what we'd also lose is our most crucial level of horizontal support right now, being at $95,000. We can see that despite the most recent drops, we've managed to hold that level of support on the closes each time, particularly in the most recent drop there. We sort of really established 95K as a base of support, and it was a prior level of support in the sort of, chop zone that we experienced in the week previous. So in losing $95,000, or the base of that support being 94.5, and our monthly uptrend closing below those levels, we can then expect then that Bitcoin is properly flipping to the bearish narrative. We're going to see a continued correction to $91,000 to fill this volume gap, moving into this liquidity zone then and losing the base of support, or the end of that liquidity zone, at 88K. We have our next base at 87, and then falling below that, Bitcoin will see a much steeper drop to retest $82,000, right? That is when the bearish narrative really does start, the loss of our uptrend. So if we take a look at what this chart means from a bullish perspective, then essentially while we hold our monthly uptrend and 95K support, we can expect Bitcoin to continue upwards, right? Now, is that vague upwards trajectory that I mentioned going to break us above $104,000 or even 101K resistance? What we need to be watching out for to kind of signal that is going to be our RSI down here on the 4-hour time frame. So from our most recent crashes, we've developed a structural downtrend on the short time frame, right? That we were unable to break, henceforth losing $99,000, and then experiencing our most recent crash to 95K. So that structural uptrend hasn't been broken, but on the RSI, the same corresponding uptrend is very, very close to being retested right now. So if we take a look at the RSI very recently, we can see signs that the sellers, despite the massive amount of selling pressure that we've been seeing, the sellers are exhausting. We're seeing bullish divergence here, or hidden bullish divergence here, from the 2 most recent lows on the price action and the RSI. Lower lows on the RSI, so increasing selling pressure, but we're seeing, I guess, absorption of that selling pressure. Again, exhaustion, right? And then after that, we are retesting our downtrend here on the RSI. So after this exhaustion, confirmation of the move back upwards is going to be a breakout from that RSI trend line, taking us to retest 101K resistance. And in breaking that, we can then expect a retest of the week high. And in breaking out of a larger RSI downtrend I'll talk about on the 4-hour time frame, we can expect a higher time frame bullish continuation above 104K and back up into price discovery. Now that brings us into our higher time frame charts to talk about the really crucial levels of support that we're seeing here that really support, I guess, the idea that Bitcoin should be bouncing here, and that we have much higher consequences if we do not see that bounce. So moving over to the 12-hour time frame here, we can see that the most recent drop from Bitcoin has also led it to retest the leading span A on the Ichimoku cloud, as well as the 50 EMA on the market cipher A. So both those are really, really huge levels of support, and support the notion that while Bitcoin remains above the monthly uptrend, as well as that 95K support on the 4-hour time frame, we have a much higher probability here of seeing a nice strong bounce, of course with momentum confirmation first of all on the short time frame. If we take a look at momentum as well on the high time frame, we can get indications of when a breakout from the prior high here at $104,000 is going to happen. So in my last video, we spoke about fractals and we talked about December 2023. Now, history doesn't always repeat itself, but it often rhymes. And if we take a look at December 2023, when we had a very sort of similar I guess, bit of price action. We had an uptrend, horizontal resistance, we had a massive liquidation event, another one once again, and then we saw a dip into this level of support. But what we ended up seeing when we finally crossed above this level of resistance here created by the high at $49,000, which is our current time frame's $104,000, what we needed to see to signal that bullish momentum shift was a high time frame close above the downtrend created by the second instance of bearish divergence on the RSI here on the 12-hour chart. Sorry, that was a really, really long sentence. So we've had two instances of bearish divergence here on this prior fractal, right? We had high highs here, and we had two lower highs here on the RSI. And then from that secondary RSI downtrend, or the most relevant one, it wasn't until we managed to sustain a break above that RSI trend line that Bitcoin managed to break above the level of resistance here that had been previously, I guess, invalidated. So that's our equivalent of $99.6 thousand, that we saw a high time frame move above that level of resistance, and that move also took Bitcoin to break above the high here at 49K. So if we apply that analysis to our current segment of price action, what we essentially need to see here to signal that shift upwards to break above 104 is, of course, first of all, the shift on the short time frame and a break above 101,000.3. And then on the higher time frame charts, we need to see Bitcoin sustain a break above the secondary RSI downtrend created by the second instance of bearish divergence here on the 12-hour charts. So essentially, what we're looking for is a break above this RSI trend line, right? Just to simplify my explanation. So overall, guys, while, the charts have been really, really crazy the last week or so, Bitcoin is looking all right overall. We've managed to sustain a very high time frame uptrend. We've got a lot of really crucial levels of support that have been recently retested, suggesting a very strong possibility of a strong bounce here. And we have our very clear sort of leading indicators here from momentum on the high time frame and short time frame for whether or not we're going to retest the week high and break above the week high. Now, let's move on to the second part of our analysis and the rest of the cryptocurrency market and talk about Total 3. So in a similar nature to Bitcoin, Total 3, while it looks like it's been really, really brutal, has actually seen to a degree, a bullish correction, right? We've had a massive amount of overextension and bearish divergence over the last couple of weeks, and we've rallied really hard for the last month or so for altcoins, right? And so if we were going to see some sort of pullback here from that overextension, it is quite natural that it happened at the all-time high for the altcoin market cap, and that correction found support on a very, very crucial level over here, right? The prior, I guess, secondary high created in the downtrend that started the bear market. So essentially what we're seeing here is a breakthrough of levels of resistance and a retest of those resistances as bases of support. And while it was a really, really crazy correction here for altcoins, I think it was a healthy one. If we move into the daily time frame, we can already see signs that the reversal has begun. The most recent daily candle close has been a doji candle, right? So that is a reversal print, particularly if this next week closes green. We can then expect further green candles to print following that, and a move back up to retest the all-time high at 1.13 trillion. If we do see some sort of correction from Bitcoin, the key level to watch out for Total 3 in terms of warning for a further correction is over here on the daily chart as well, and that is the end of this blue liquidity pocket on the Smart Money Concepts indicator, ending at $901 billion. If we see Total 3 close below this on the daily time frame and also potentially the 50 EMA, we're likely then to see a continued correction for Total 3 to then go on to retest the next available level of support at this red line over here, the dead cat bounce level of support, and our bull market trigger for altcoins at $837 billion. And falling below that, we enter most likely a macro downtrend. So very unlikely that's going to happen considering the stage of the cycle that we're in and the current economic climate. But nevertheless, good things to watch out for is that mostly that liquidity pocket over there. Of course, moving forward, quite simple. What we need to see here is a bounce. We're already exhibiting signals of that bounce on the daily chart and a break above 1.13 trillion. Once we do that, all coins will enter price discovery or market cap price discovery, in which case pretty sure altcoins are going to quite parabolic, and this drop will be a distant memory. Alrighty guys, that is all the analysis that I have for you today. If you enjoyed the video or you learned something, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you're after even more content, be sure to check out my free Telegram for daily updates as well as crypto and economic news. And if you're interested in my VIP channel, you can get more details over here. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trading setups with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. And if you are a trader, don't forget to sign up down below to BitUnext to get 15% off all of your trading fees. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!